Good morning, afternoon, good day, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have been looking forward to painting. I missed last Saturday due to spring. Spring brings wonderful things with it, like allergies and head colds, and unfortunately, I've been hit with both. So, but I'm alive and well and ready to paint. I've missed you guys. I have so much fun on Saturdays, and I really missed painting with you last week. So, this week we're going to be painting Baking Cookies. I think this is such a fun piece. A little weird to be painting Christmas in turning out to be an absolutely stellar spring day. It is about 19 degrees here, Celsius. Don't worry. The sun is shining. The snow is almost all gone, and it's just a beautiful day. Even have the windows open, so we're, blowing the winter stink off the place, and I am so ready for summer. So it seems odd to be painting something for Christmas, but Christmas works at any time. And, why do it all 2 weeks before the holiday? So Renee's going to figure out how come my monitor over here is working because he hasn't switched it over yet. There it is. Because I couldn't see the chat. There we are. Oh my goodness, the thing's flying by. We now have the new computer all set up. So the new computer is running all of our cameras right now. And hopefully we'll have really great video quality. I'm pretty sure that we will. Renee says we will anyway. So he's got me all set up on this new computer, new monitors. Everything seems to be functioning the way it's supposed to, although we had a few bad moments. What was that?
I forgot to turn the audio off.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Oh my goodness. So I wanted to say good morning, and I hope everybody is having a marvelous day. I will say hello to a few people as soon as I can see the chat, because right now he's having to fix a little something. Just turn off the volume on something. But we're going to be playing with this Bakin Cookies piece. I think it's a lot of fun. We're only using one stencil for this one. But you could certainly use snowflake stencils if you want to, or you could put almost anything in the background for this one. Polka dots will work, checks will work, whatever you have on hand. It doesn't have to be exactly what I've used. And that's what makes this so much fun, is that you can change up what you like. And so I'm just kind of enamored at the moment with this knit pattern stencil. So that's what I've used for my background. And I've used some dimensional flakes from my buddy Deb. So we're going to have a lot of fun painting our Bakin Cookies piece. I just think this one is fun. I think it's fun. Fun and easy.
Should be good to go.
Everything new that takes getting used to. Yes, Kathy, it does. Wasn't the sound of an idea? Probably. I'm not sure which one of us is geared today, but probably. We go in.
New setup.
He's determined not to let me say hello to a few people.
Well, I gotta also get you your Facebook crew.
Oh, okay, that would be helpful. See, there we go. Holy hockey pucks, Batman. I can't read his monitor from this distance. There we are. So I want to say hello to Kathy Williams from Tennessee. Hello, thanks for joining us. And Denise Chavez. Hello, Denise. Nice to see you. And Patsy Justice. Hello. I'm Peggy Blazer. Hello, sweetheart. And Linal, you're just taking a second to say hello and thanking you for all the prayers. Linal, we are all thinking of you and your wonderful hubby. Hopefully things are on an upswing. We're certainly praying that it is. So even though you haven't seen or heard from us, please know that we are thinking of you. Sending our biggest hugs and our love to you and your hubby. And there's Patrick. Hello, Patrick. And Karen says hello to you.
Hello.
And Darlene Greenwood. Hello, Darlene. I have happy memories of Darlene. And Beverly and Donna Baker. And Donna said hello to Maze before she said hello to us. Maze is right here, acting up, being a brat. She's not listening to anybody today. And Linda, high 80s here today and sunny. High 80s. We're just barely into double digits. Uh-oh, Karen's sending cookies. Okay. And who did I miss? Oh, there's Margaret Davis and Linda Safranco. And I know that Mary is probably watching, so hello, Mary. And Debbie Buckman Easton. Hello, Debbie. I hate to miss anybody, but the thing is flying by, so I apologize if I'm missing anyone. And Diane Hendricks, hello, dear. And there's Sandy Barton. Hello, Sandy. So we do have giveaways for today. Actually, I was trying to decide what to do, and because we're doing a breadboard, I have a really cute little set of breadboards that we're going to give away. Plus, we've got some stuff from Dynasty, and we've got some other goodies in there as well because, you know, it's what we do. And we've got some new pins to give away. We've got these really cute little artist pins that we're going to be including in your giveaways today. So we have 3 of those to give away. And if you'd like to get in on that, all you have to do is join us in the chat, say good morning, say hello, ask a question, whatever you do, just do it in the chat window. We'll be happy to answer your question, and then we'll add all of those names to the wheel at the end of the day, and we'll spin the wheel, and 3 of you will win those giveaways. So that's it for all of the lead in and all of the other important things that we needed to discuss. So I'm ready to get started with painting if you are. So now I got to try out this new technology and hope that it doesn't just blow up on me. Ta-da! Look at that. It worked first time out. I've had like black fingers this week for tech. My phone didn't work properly this week. My website crashed for like 4 hours. The internet went squiffy on us. It was just a heck of a week. So this is what we're doing today. We're going to be painting, this one's called Bakin Cookies. This one includes a few different things. We're going to be doing this stoneware bowl. We're going to be doing our little cookie and some candy cane and some holly leaves. I always have holly leaves in my Christmas stuff. But first and foremost, we're going to do this fun background. Now, I used a knit stencil for mine, but as I said, you can use almost anything back there and it's going to work, whether it's polka dots, whether it's checkerboard, a large or small, it really doesn't matter. Anything with a consistent pattern I think will be really, really cute back there. So I have one prepped. The pattern for this is available on my website, and it has 2 design line drawings in it for 2 different surfaces. So I have one for this, I think this one is an 8x10 breadboard, or you can have it on this 6x10 tag. So that's what we're going to be working on today, is this 6x10. So we're going to start with that background, which is this really nice this knit stencil. And I have my stencil on upside down. I don't know. I'm not firing on all cylinders today, I don't think. So I'm going to tape this into place. I just realized that this stencil has a little bitty bit there that wasn't cleared out. There we go. And I'm going to tape my stencil in place so that it doesn't shift while I'm working. And
should be good.
It should be good. It certainly looks good. Oh, goodness. Everybody's had some buffering, but I think that's more weather related. We should not have any issues with the stream simply because we're no longer wireless. We are hardwired, which is handy. It means that unless the internet goes down completely, we should be good. Should be good. Knock on wood.
Everything on our end has been good.
Yep.
What Facebook and YouTube does is
Out of our control.
out of my control.
So the base color for this piece is deep midnight blue. This is one of my favorite dark background colors. I love this blue. Has a nice grayish tone. It's not garish. It's just a really beautiful dark blue, and it's great for doing backgrounds. And the color that we're going to put over it is Bahama blue. So I'm going to start down here. And this does not need to be uniform. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to distress the bejeebers out of it anyway. So I'm using Bahama blue. You can hear Maze that he's getting ready to take her out for some exercise today. So she's going to be a tad noisy. So I'm working in a circular fashion and changing directions frequently. I probably should have grabbed a bigger stencil brush. I think I better. Here we go. Oh, Renee is the master of internet. Oh yeah, around here he is. So if you could see the inside of this studio, he literally rebuilt a computer, and put a new motherboard in it, and then put a new chip in it, so that it would run properly. And then we put in the most recent version of Windows 11. And then he got some new cables and new connections so that we could connect all of the cameras and the microphones and all of the stuff to this bigger computer, which has a lot more power than the one that we were using. And then in the process, we wired the studio so that it's all hardwired now. So it's not wireless down here. So it does make a big difference in the video quality. So hopefully everything will be tickety-boo. Looks beautiful. So I'm going to move. Excited much? Somebody wants to go out. So I'm going to line up this stencil like so, and I'm going to just finish off that little bit. There we go. So as you can see, it's not perfect. It's a little irregular. So I'm going to dry that. It's very bright. Lucy, I'm watching you on the TV. I'm too lazy to move to the computer. Oh my goodness. There we go.
Here's that box.
What box?
The one I wrapped up for Steve. Okay?
Yep. So now that I have this stenciled, I'm going to use my little gator. I cannot thank Kathy enough for this thing. This has just been the absolute answer. I love it. So I'm going to distress this, and I'm only going to distress it in one direction. So this runs vertically, so I'm going to distress it vertically. And I am going to be somewhat aggressive. When I say somewhat aggressive, I'm aggressive. I like to sand the living daylights out of this. I want to soften and create marks in the finish. Like so. I want to wear these out a little bit. So I'm not being gentle. I also like to distress the edges and the corners a little bit. Maze, baby, what's the matter? You gotta be patient. Telling a Mal to be patient. Cheese slid off my cracker. It beats the sass I got this morning. There we go. Maze. There. So I've distressed this. I'm going to grab a piece of shop towel and wipe off the dust because this generates a lot of dust. And this is actually quite distressed. Forgive my shaking hands. So it's quite worn. And I'm going to use a little bit of water to wipe off any residual dust so that we've got our colors back. Look at that.
Here's a sticky note on the box.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
With Mr. Stephen Barker. I think she wants to play.
You think? Yeah. Have fun. There we go. So I've distressed this, wiped it down. You can see there's all kinds of irregularities in here, and I like that. It works really, really well. And compared to my German Shepherd's maze, sounds pretty calm. He hasn't even started getting ready to take her out, and she starts this conversation. The minute you say park or walk, she starts this conversation, and she gets louder and more obnoxious as time goes by. So she's actually been quite restrained. So I'm going to use one of my favorite blues. I'm going to grab a little bit of Prussian blue. I love Prussian blue. And we're going to use a small quantity of our deep midnight blue. And this is just for the background. And I'm going to, I need a big angled shader. Oh, she will chat. Yes. She was getting a little rambunctious down here. And we told her to lay down so that she would settle a little bit. And oh, the sass. The sass was unreal. So I'm going to take a little bit of that deep midnight blue. And I'm going to put a float of this around the outside edge. Like so. Just a little float. Doesn't have to be much, just a little. All the way around. Just like that. And then I'm going to dry it, and then is Maze being bullied by the kitty? Those two are thick as thieves. It is unbelievable, those two. Maze gets attacked on a daily basis, and she can give as good as she gets, believe me. So once that's completely dry, we're going to float around the edge with a little bit of Prussian. I love this. It just instantly deepens that blue at the outside edge. Like that. Prussian blue is just one of my favorite shading colors for dark blue. It deepens everything, gives it a nice tone, gives you that beautiful shadow without overdoing it. There she goes again. There's Joan Mueller. Hello. And Cindy Kessler. Hello from sunny Florida. Hello from sunny New Brunswick. There we go. So now that we've done that shading around the outside edge, we want to tone all of this, subdue it just a little bit. So I'm going to make a thin wash of that deep midnight blue. And we're going to put a wash of that over everything. Just a nice light wash, just to set things back a little. We don't want to bury it all, but we do want it to be a bit more subdued. And then your background is ready. You can trace and transfer your line drawings on as soon as this is completely dry. Just like that. I love the variations in this. You can see that the pattern is still there, but you get these worn areas and brighter areas, and it works really, really well. So from this point on, you can put any design you want on here, but I really, really love the look of this knit stencil. But this works, as I said, with anything. You can use polka dots or a small check or a big check, or you could use stripes, or you could use plaid. Any one of those things is going to work really well for this type of piece. So we're going to set that aside. And the first thing we're going to work on is the shading. We're going to do a little bit of shading in and around our design. And I like to do this first before I start base coating anything, simply because then if I make a mistake and happen to go over it, I don't have to worry about trying to get dark blue off of a colored area. Hey, Robin Richard, you're going to visit Tiny at rehab so you can't stay. Please, sure miss being able to watch every week. Robin, we miss having you. Say hello to Tony, and we're thinking about both of you. So, a little bit of Prussian blue. I'm using a 1/2 inch angled shader, and I'm going to thin this Prussian a little bit because it is a powerful color. And then we're going to shade in and around everything. Now, the fun part about this is that because I'm doing this now, before I start base coating, I don't have to worry about getting it up on top of anything colored. I do have to be a little careful around this bowl, though. But a nice little shadow of Prussian blue around everything. And it gives this design a nice little boost. Makes it pop off the background a little more, having that little bit of dark blue. Prussian is just such a gorgeous blue. It's very dark, but also very transparent. And it's an intense blue, so it works very well over top of darker blues like it does over this. And then in under our cookie. As I said, you don't have to be quite so neat and tidy with this when you're just working around the line drawing. So it makes things a little easier. And we're not looking for a super dark shadow, but just enough to lift this. Pardon me. To lift it off the surface. Oh, goodness. Pardon me for a moment. Oh. As anybody with asthma will tell you, this time of year is not necessarily miserable, but it can be. Oh. Robin, make sure you give him a big squeeze from all of us. Robin is a member of my membership group and much loved by all of us. There we go. I love that dark blue back there. It's just so pretty. And because you're working a dark blue over a dark blue, you've got lots of room for boo-boos. Oh my gosh, Sherry, the allergies are terrible right now. Last Saturday, I've been struggling with my asthma for the last week or so, and I had a doctor's appointment on Thursday and a new medication that did not agree with me, so I was not able to do much of anything on Saturday. So I have been looking forward to painting today. I've already got next Saturday's pieces done, and the pattern is already up on the website. That's one of the bonuses when you're not feeling well. You get to sit and type for a while. So the pattern is up. We're going to be doing, it technically is a Christmas ornament, just not very Christmassy looking. So there we go. So we've got nice dark blue all the way around the outside edge. So I'll rinse out my brush. And I'm going to dry this really quick. I love doing this kind of thing for Christmas. They're just so much fun to do. And they're so easy. You don't need to have like 5 million colors available to you. You can use some very basic colors that you have on hand. So if you don't have exactly the colors that I've used, I can certainly make recommendations about what colors you can substitute them for. A color I've been using a lot recently is sand gray, but it's a difficult one to find. So if you can't find it, then go into using that cobblestone. Sand gray is a warmer, light gray, and it works really nicely for a lot of things, but it's a difficult color to find. So this cobblestone will substitute it very nicely. It's a little darker, but that's okay. But the tone is right. You get this nice warm neutral tone. Oh, pardon me. Goodness, my voice is breaking. You get this nice warm neutral tone that you can work into it. So even though I've listed sand gray or a like color for the cookie cutter, you can easily use the cobblestone. You're not really going to see that much of a difference. So I used sand gray for this one. You really can't see much of a difference between the two. So it's very easy to substitute colors. The same with the gingerbread. We're going to be using honey brown for this, but if you don't have it, mocha will work just fine, or cocoa, or something in that range. And push comes to shove, you can use raw sienna. So as long as the tonal value is there, that's all this really matters. It doesn't have to be the exact color that I've used. So they're easily substituted. So next Saturday's class, I thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit warmer. And these are the ones we're going to be doing. We've got a set of seashells. It's called She Sells Seashells. The pattern is available on the website. Super cute. Easy to do. I had a little bit of fun with my hand drill and some seashells that I had kicking around. But we're doing these cute little ornaments for next Saturday's class. A lot of fun, easy to paint, and we're going to do all 3 of them in one day. So try and join us next Saturday. There's Bonnie Dixon. This is a fun project. You might recognize some of the elements from other patterns. I did one a couple of years ago that had a mixing bowl, I guess, small mixing bowl, and it had a cookie and a cookie cutter, and it had peppermint sticks and a few other little things in it. It was called Christmas Sweets, I think. And I had done several of designs with those various elements in it. And I played with color palettes and whatnot. I published that one, but I didn't publish this one. And I really, really liked this one. So don't ask me why I did it the other way. But this is the one we're going to do today. So what I've done here with the mixing bowl on here, I've base coated this with 2 coats of cobblestone. And if you're wondering what that is, it's this one here. Deckwords Cobblestone. I love this color. I use this one a lot. You can tell I love this color because I have 2 bathrooms painted this color. It's just so much fun. And if you're looking for the color number, it's DA390. It's a great color to work with. It's a beautiful neutral. And it just happens to serve my purpose because that's the tone of stoneware. And this is a stoneware bowl, so we're using cobblestone. So 2 coats of cobblestone. And then the rim of the bowl and the foot of the bowl are based with country red, which is one of my favorite reds to use. It's this one. And the color number for this one is DA18. Great red. It's nicely opaque. It actually covers quite well for a red. So I've got 2 coats of country red on our rim up here and down here at the base. Now, we're going to shade our bowl with some asphaltum. But the first thing we need to do is to paint on our stripes. And I didn't want these to be the stripes on the bowl right here. I didn't want these to be a full stripe all the way across. I kind of wanted it to peter out a little bit. So I used a rigger and I thinned out some country red, just a little. And I painted in the stripe like so. So when the brush ran out, that's when I knew I was finished. So that I don't have that solid stripe and it has sort of a broken edge on it. And I did that on both sides. It's a nice thing about using a rigger is that you don't have to have an absolutely perfect edge for this, and it will let you run out. Just like that. And that gives us the effect that we wanted, right there. So there is our red stripe. Super simple. You don't have to overthink this one. Now I'm going to dry this really well, and then I'm going to erase the graphite as much as I can on here. There we go. Just going to get rid of it at the edges of this stripe. There we go. I don't like graphite lines. And they have a tendency to leave sort of a broken edge. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit. There we go. Because it's red, it tends to be a little transparent. And if you get over that graphite line, it's still going to show through. So I wanted to get rid of it. So I erased them first. And then just clean up the edge so that it's nice and clean. And I'm only using 1 coat of red. I don't want this to be solid. So I'll dry that really well, and then we're going to start shading our bowl. Now I'm using asphaltum to shade my cookie bowl. Now I gotta find it. Where did I put it? There it is. Yes, Robin, exactly. I mean, we had snow this week. And then we had 18 degrees. And then we had rain. And then we had, 19 degrees yesterday. And today it's 19 degrees. I know the weather is finally turning around because my husband got my motorcycle out of storage and is off today riding. So we're going to shade our bowl with this asphaltum. And the color number is DA180. This is perhaps the most used color in my arsenal. They have to make that in a gallon for me, I swear. So we're going to put a nice float of asphaltum down both sides of our bowl and across the bottom. Oh my God. You had tornadoes? We were complaining about a little bit of snow. Huh. Most of the snow is gone now. There's a little bit left in the woods, but not much. So I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to float underneath that red bar, underneath the lip of that bowl. There we are. And I'm going to dry that. There we go. Now on the right side, I'm going to deepen that float a little bit. I want it a little bit darker on one side. And I'm going to, oh, I like it. I like it, I like it. I love the bowl. Now I'm going to switch to a smaller angled shader. I'm going to use a 3/8. I like my 3/8. Nice little. Oh, Holly is in Saskatchewan. Holly Hanley. She's in Saskatchewan. I believe she's in Saskatoon. I know she's not in Regina. I think she's in Saskatoon. Do I have a clam chowder recipe I could share? Absolutely. I absolutely do have a clam chowder recipe I would happily share. So yes, the western part of the country got an absolute huge dump of snow. There's Linda Grass. Hello, good morning, my dear. So we've got that lovely bit of shading in there. I'm going to take a little bit of that Prussian blue. I do like a Prussian blue for shading reds. And I'm going to put a little float of that on our red stripe. Right there. And on the end. And I'm going to walk it in a little. It needs to be a little darker than that, but here we go. Oh, I hear a motorbike. So a little shadow with a float of Prussian blue. I'm going to do the same thing over here behind those holly berries. And I'm going to repeat that on this side. Simple little float. You can walk it out a little bit if you like. I like to do it in thirds. So I'm going to walk that shadow in about a third on either side, leaving about a third in the center. Baked peanut butter pie with meringue. I don't have a peanut butter pie recipe, but I do have a really great lime meringue pie and a lemon meringue pie. That might help. And I just squeezed about 8 pounds of lemons. What's for dinner tonight? We are having Greek tonight. We are doing Greek. We are having a little bit of chicken souvlaki on the grill. And I'm making lemon rice because I love lemon rice. And then, of course, you have to have a Greek salad. So lots of peppers and tomatoes. Well, I will have to get my clam chowder recipe up then. I have a seafood chowder recipe that's really good too. So. There we go. So I've got that nice little shadow in there. I'm thinking this one needs a bit darkening. There we are. Much better. Sometimes you just have to deepen things. So that, I love Prussian blue on reds. Prussian blue on a red is just a wonderful shading color. It does wonderful things for reds. Just gives them a really nice shading. And if you don't like the really, because sometimes it can be a bit harsh, if you're not happy with the harshness of it, just mix a little of your base color red with your blue, and it'll give you a really nice shading color. Oh my goodness. I'm always needing warm white. Warm white asphaltum. I buy both of those colors, 6 to 12 bottles at a time. Anything less, if I'm down to 3, I'm out. So, looky. So we have a nice shading on this. There's a couple of spots I want to deepen. I want to deepen underneath the little float of asphaltum. I want to deepen under here. Just a little on this side. And I'm going to bring it about halfway across. Just a little. And then I'm going to do the same thing across the bottom. I want to deepen this one as well. Just a little. There we go. Just think it needed a bit more. So I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to find my smallest stencil brush. Oh, Linda, I'm with Debbie. I'm with you. I love Stormy. It's such a pretty blue. Great one. Hi, Linda Johnson. Glad you're with us. So, one of the girls was just saying she's pre-ordered the new colors. I'm going to gloat a little bit, but I already have all mine. It helps when you know the boss, right? That's what they say. So I have all of the new colors. So don't be surprised if a few of them are popping up in some of the upcoming patterns. They're fantastic. I really am quite pleased with the colors they've come out with this year. So our little bowl here is about done. Now, I've got a stencil brush. I've chosen a small one. I think this one is 3/8. Now, we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing. I like doing this part with a stencil brush. Now, you can use a little bit of sand gray if you like, or you can use a little bit of warm white. I do like a little bit of warm white. So I'm going to load my little stencil brush up with some warm white, and I'm going to blend it well in both directions. And then I'm going to dab it a little bit on some paper towel. And we're going to add a dry brush in the center of this bowl, right here. Just where that, where it says cookies. Just down there. And just in that center portion. Doesn't have to be much, just a little bit. And Lucinda Aranda. No, it wasn't you. Last Saturday's, I was having a bad reaction to some new medication. So I was not well. So I did not go live. And I had posted both on the YouTube channel and on Facebook that I wasn't going to be live. So I am sorry. I missed it. So we've got a nice soft little highlight right in the center of our thing. We've also got a highlight that goes here. So I'm just going to use the edge of that stencil brush to put a highlight right there and a smaller one right there. Nice and soft. I like that little highlight in the middle. And then you're going to repeat that, but a little smaller. Just like that. And then we're going to use a round tiny bit of warm white on your brush. You're going to put a stroke right in the center, like that. And then I like a little bit right here. Just a very light brush of a highlight right in the center. So super simple. You don't have to overthink this one at all. And if you find that it needs to be expanded, you certainly can. Don't be shy. If you find it's not bright enough, make it brighter. So less out at the edge and gets brighter as it comes in towards the center. And then a final little stroke of warm white, thinned. Keep it small, doesn't have to be big. So now we've got that nice little highlight dead center of our bowl. We've got that nice deep shading around the outside edge. So now we have to do this lettering in here. Now I've simplified this considerably because I was way overthinking it, and I frequently do. So I decided, you know what? I changed up the font. I had something elaborate in there that just did not work. Again, I was way overthinking it. You know what? I'd be glad if I could stay healthy from now on. I'm just right now struggling with spring allergies. And then I no sooner got past all of the COVID thing and I got a head cold. So I'm dealing with just a mild head cold and spring allergies. But I will be fine. So I'm using, this is a Posca pen. Honestly, if you've got a Identa pen or if you've got a black Sharpie, a fine one, use that. You don't have to use anything spectacular for this. I'm using a black Posca pen, and this one is one of the 0.7 millimeter ones with the fine tip. And these are great. I have a full set of these. They come in a set of 8, and I got mine on Dick Blick. I ordered mine from Dick Blick. So simple. I chose the font to simplify things because my original one was I went too fancy for the subject matter. I chose a font that was just not right. Didn't work with this design idea. And as I said, I overthought it. So I thought, you know what? Make it as simple as possible. Go with a very simple handwritten or hand-styled font, and that's why I chose this one. I really like this one. Easy peasy. And cookies. It doesn't have to be anything perfect or elaborate. I think that one works really well. If you want it a little bit thicker, by all means, you can use something a little bit larger. If you want the lettering to have a little more body, you can use something a bit bigger. And again, go to either a Sharpie or an Identa pen, something along that line. It will work just fine. So I've got cookies. I think this is a little too fine, actually, now that I'm looking at it. So I'm just going to go back over it, make it a little thicker in spots. That's the nice thing about this type of thing. And if you really mess it up and you don't like it, you can simply paint over it. It is just acrylic paint, after all. So I love that handwritten, kind of relaxed look of this font. It just works, especially for this design. Keeping things simple. And fun. There we go. Look at that. Too easy. So now we've got cookies, and this is stoneware, so we have to make it look a bit more like stoneware. So we're going to do that. We're going to use a little bit of asphaltum because we can. I like asphaltum for this. If you really want to, you could use a little bit of lamp black. I think the asphaltum is dark enough. We don't want this to look too heavily speckled, but we do want it to look old. So I've thinned out a little bit of asphaltum, and I'm going to try to target just the bowl. And I'm going to give it a pretty generous spattering of asphaltum. because that's what kind of makes it look like stoneware. So I get you up to the camera so you can see this. Oh God, I'm telling you, some days. There we go. So I get a fairly generous spattering of asphaltum on our bowl. And then when we're finished, I'm going to spatter everything again because I just love them. I love spattering. Oh, I don't know what it is. There's some kind of a bug floating around here. I mean, I had COVID back in into February and March, and I couldn't shake it. Took forever to get rid of it. So I finally got feeling better from that. And then, of course, now the allergy season has struck. So now I'm dealing with allergies. So yes, so much fun. So that's our bowl. I mean, that's not a difficult paint. That's a super easy paint, doing that little bowl. Super easy. And it gives you sort of a place to jump off. And when you've completed this portion, then it just seems like, okay, I've got one thing down, and then now I can move on to the next thing. Our next thing is going to be this candy cane. We're going to base that with a little bit of warm white. And this is my favorite white, and it's DA239, if you're looking for the color. And I'm going to use a little bit of country red, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to love candy canes if you paint them with, oh my goodness, pardon me. If you paint them with watermelon slice, makes a great candy cane. It looks so good. So, but another color I've been using lately for candy canes and for peppermints and anything festive is this, wild berry. I know it seems like an odd color to use for candy canes, but it's a really great tone for that. So you're not obligated to just use country red for candy canes. Jump in and use whatever you want for it. You can use watermelon slice. You can use dragon fruit, looks amazing. You can use country red. You can use any red that you want, quite literally. So, but for today, we're going to be using country red and warm white. I love warm white. Now, I'm going to do one coat of warm white. I'm going to pull it all in one direction. I want to keep this simple. Easy peasy. The nice thing about warm white is it is very opaque compared to titanium white. So it covers quite well. And I'm not overly concerned about the stripes, simply because, well, you can put stripes in any way you want to. But I'm more concerned with following the shape of our candy cane and pulling it all in one direction. I just think that that works so much better if you're painting in one direction. That way, brush marks fall into the shape. So if it's not absolutely perfect, then it kind of gets hidden in everything else. Yes, Robin, those two colors are deceptive. Wild berry and watermelon slice. In the bottle, they kind of read as pinks. But yet, when you put them down onto a surface, they tend to come off more like a red. And very often, I will use watermelon slice for things like candy canes or peppermints or holly berries, things like that, simply because they are a very rich color and they translate very nicely for that. So don't, just because it looks like pink, try it out. It'll read different when you've painted it. And I do love watermelon slice. I just think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous color. Makes for great candy canes. But as I've already got a bottle of Country Red sitting here, I'm going to use that. So I have a white, thus far I have a white candy cane. Oh yes, wild berry makes a great cheek color too. This is just a fun holiday piece. It's a pretty simple design, but it makes for such a fun piece. So that's dry. Your list is growing by the minute. You know what? I made the mistake the other day of playing with a design, and I couldn't find anything that was working with what I had. I ended up designing 2 new surfaces because, well, not that really, it wasn't really much of a design, but as far as the surface is concerned, but I had to go and had to order some new surfaces because, oh, Cinnamon Drop is a gorgeous color. And it's a blue-red, and it's a great color for anything Christmassy. It's very, very pretty. It's also a great shading color for reds, too. So I'm going to grab my rigger. I also am going to grab a pencil, I think. Now, I'm going to put my stripes in like so. I'm just going to freehand my stripes in. There we are. And then I'm going to paint every other stripe with Country Red. Now, I love Country Red for its opacity. It covers very nicely. The other nice thing is because I've painted the whole candy cane white, I'm not having to compete with that dark blue in behind, so it covers much better. So I only have to put 1 coat of Country Red on my candy cane because I'm not having to compete with all that dark blue. Oh no. Yeah, I think weather is playing havoc with internet connections and whatnot today. Happily, with this new computer system that Renee set up, we do not have to concern ourselves with, the feed breaking down unless the internet goes out entirely. So, because we're not wireless anymore. At least not for the feed. So all of the computers and the cameras and whatnot down here, with the exception of my laptop, are now hardwired. So we don't have to worry about things like that. So there we go. Look how easy that is when your base is all white. Ta-da! Look at that. And look how bright that red stays when you're not having to compete with that dark blue. I love it. Sue, if you're looking for something in that sun and moon and stars, or moon and stars theme, have a look at Lynn Andrews. She's more than likely got something that will work. She does the most beautiful things for babies' rooms. So there we go. I've got my candy cane. Now, I'm going to shade said candy cane with a little float of Prussian blue. As I said, I love my Prussian blue. Oops, that's red. It's not what I was looking for. There we go. The nice thing about Lynn Andrews' designs is that the designs are so functional and so well thought out that her color palettes are very easy to alter. It makes her designs very versatile. I love Lynn Andrews' work. I have 3 or 4 of her patterns sitting here for Santa Clauses that I have got to paint one of these days. So I'm going to shade my candy cane in here. Oopsie. And in here. And out there. I think that the fellow that developed autocorrect should burn in hell. I still think that's one of the funniest things I've ever read. So here we go. I've got a nice little float of Prussian blue all the way around, and I went right through the white, right through the red. I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to deepen that with a float. Karen, who did I say? Lynn Andrews. She does wonderful things. Wonderful things. I love Lynn Andrews' work. She's just such an incredible designer. So I'm going to deepen that with a float of asphaltum. Just like so. Right over top of the blue, right over top of the red. And you'll notice that as you're doing this, it's leaving sort of a open area in the center of our candy cane. Ta-da! And I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to come back to using our little stencil brush.
How's it looking?
It's looking swimmingly. So I'm going to, again, load my stencil brush with a little bit of warm white. I'm going to blot on paper towel. And I'm going to use the edge of the stencil brush, like so, right up the middle. Comme ça. Nice little highlight. Nice and soft. We don't want it to be too intense. Now I'm going to pick up a small quantity of warm white, and I'm going to blend it well. I don't want this to be full strength. I'm going to blend it well on the brush, and I'm going to put a float just to the left of that dry brush so that it goes and cuts right through the red and the white, like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the curve, just like that. Then I'm going to dry it. And then I'm going to put a stroke coming in just slightly from the edge of that float. I'm going to put a nice line of white right there and right there. So now we've got that nice slick looking candy cane. Oh, Lynn Andrews, her Santas are just to die for. I have a couple of her books, and I just love every one of them. So our next thing is that cookie cutter. I love this cookie cutter, this little star-shaped cookie cutter. I have this, by the way, if you're wondering where I got the design idea. I have this cookie cutter in my stash of myriad numbers of cookie cutters. So I'm going to use a little bit of cobblestone and a little bit of warm white. I'm just going to thin this out, make it a little bit lighter. And I'm going to stroke in the top edge of our cookie cutter with that brush mix. It's just a little of the cobblestone mixed with warm white, just to make it a couple of values lighter. That's all. So don't overthink it. And you'll notice that when I base coat, you can see the vertical line and the lines in between each of the segments. I leave a small space so that I don't have to trace and transfer all of the details in. It just makes it a little easier in the end. And I don't worry about those lines. They're going to sort of fall into the design as we work anyway. So here we are, putting that nice little edge. Just needs to be, as I said, a couple of values lighter. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we are. And putting this little rim at the top of the cookie cutter just gives it a little visual weight. It gives it the appearance of having a little more heft. And I just realized that I missed a piece of the cookie cutter. There we go. I think I've had this Star of David cookie cutter for about probably 45 or 50 years. I love this cookie cutter. So here we go. And we are going to highlight that little rim. You probably could find one of her painting books. She did a couple with, I believe it's Lighthouse Publishing. Lynn Andrews' designs are just, they're spectacular. So we're going to put a small highlight. I'm using a little bit of warm white, and it's just a stroke. Outside edge, inside edge. Just like that. Simple little line of warm white. Doesn't have to be solid. But I like that little highlight. It brings the eye towards that cookie cutter really nicely. Little stroke there. Stroke that. And it gives this, a somewhat metallic sheen, which is important. So I'm going to switch to a 3/8 angle. I need a smaller angle for this part. Here it is. And we're going to shade this with a little bit of asphaltum. And I'm going to thin it out a little bit because I don't want this full strength. We don't really want our cookie cutter to look brown. So we're going to start with shading the inside edge of this cookie right here. Right up to that line. I didn't quite get enough color in there. Here we go. Nice little line right there. I'm going to shade into it and into it. Across the top on this one. Across the top here. Now there's lots of step outs in the pattern that show you where the shadows go. And most of the time I put little dip dots and little hash marks and whatnot in so that you can see where the shading should be placed. And then in behind our holly leaves and under here. And I want to deepen this one because it's, here we are. So we've got nice little shadows in there. We're going to take a little bit of warm white and we're going to stroke in a couple of little highlights, and they're just tiny white lines right here. Just a little light impact point. And as conveniently, it is on those inside points. Just like that. Super simple. Don't overthink this one. Just put the shadow in. Don't worry about any exposed lines because honestly, they don't matter at this particular juncture. We're going to do some spattering and some other detailing to this. So there we go. So we have a cookie. We have a candy cane. And now we're going to do our little gingerbread man, our Bob. We're going to paint Bob now. I think when it comes to your creativity, I think you need to have a space that is just yours for when you're painting or designing or whatever. I had a small space in the laundry room in our home out west. And then my husband built me a built-in desk in one corner of the family room that had, space for storage, and I could put my computer and I could do all of these things. And it was wonderful. And I had that whole space just to myself. And it was great. And then when we were moving from out west back to New Brunswick, back to here, Linda Johnson, if you used gray and highlight with silver, unfortunately painting it with a metallic, it doesn't really make it look any more metal. More often than not, if you shade with a variety of grays and then highlight with a little bit of blue, you get more of a metallic look. It'll give you more of it'll imply that it's more metal. I find using metallics have their place, but if I want something to look metal, more often than not, I shy away from using metallic. Yes, Facebook is going in and out. You're welcome. So we're going to base our cookie with, I'm using honey brown. But as I said, you don't have to use exactly what I used. A gingerbread actually looks really good done with a raw sienna or with cocoa, depending on how light or how dark you want it. Honey brown is a nice middle of the road color, and it works very, very well. And if you're looking for it, the color number is DA163. And I'll tell you something. If you're ordering off of the ordering paint off of the Decor website, it usually gives you a chart, and then you have to select your color. If you know the color number, you can simply type that in, and it will find it for you. So it makes it a whole lot simpler instead of hunting through it by name or by tone. That color number can be a lot easier to use. So just FYI. And also, if you look at the header on the YouTube channel, it'll give you a series of links in there that you can get my favorite resources and whatnot. There is a coupon code for Decor that you are welcome to use anytime, and it is Tracy M15. Tracy M15. Use that anytime you're shopping on decorart.com, and it'll give you a discount. So I'm going to base my cookie with honey brown. And again, I try to paint following the shape of things. Simply because by doing so, it allows all those brush marks to sort of fall into the shape of the design, so you're not fighting against it. So here we are. I like honey brown. It's a nice tone. I also like raw sienna. I use raw sienna a lot for gingerbread too. It's a great color. Now you might notice that I still have my line drawing taped to my surface because there are a ton of little details that go into things like this cookie that you might not want to wing it. I'll wing it. It doesn't bother me, but sometimes you just want to be able to put things exactly where they belong. And so I always leave my line drawing taped to the back so that I don't have to retrace things. I don't like retracing things. So here we go. And of course, I put my finger right in the wet paint. I do have the knack. There we are. I was trying to get my paint to all go in one direction, and it just wasn't happening. But now I've got it. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to give it one more coat because I want a really fully opaque. Oh, I love thrift books. Thrift books is awesome. I just got my thrift books order the other day. Heidi, good to have you with us. And Kim McCutcheon, Peters, goodness. Good to have you with us. So I'm going to put a second coat of honey brown on my cookie. Much better. Now, ordinarily, had I been thinking, which I wasn't, obviously, I did put down some warm white over all of that blue just to cut down how much the blue interferes with the base color that I was putting on. But I did not, and I didn't think of it until just now, so more fool I. So I am base coating with honey brown. Get a nice smooth finish on here. So I'm following the shape of my cookie. Our bob. This is a bob. There we are. I did it again. What is with me? I have had, it's been a week, let me tell you, it's been a week, between having a bad reaction to a new asthma medication and internet issues and the website going down, and it's just been fun. Not really. I managed to get honey brown on my background, which is not a good thing. So I'm going to find this is a mini fugly. I'm going to take a little bit of water in my mini fugly, and I'm going to try and remove that honey brown that I got all over my background. But there we go. I just soaked it a little bit with some water and give it a little scrub with that fugly brush, and off it comes. There we go. And then I can fix it. Try to keep my fingers out of the paint. Honestly, there we go. You ever have a day? I had a day. I've had a whole bunch of days this week. Deb, Daniker, and Patrick. I cannot wait to hear the stories that come from this one. Deb and her family are headed overseas for a visit, and they're going to connect with Patrick and Eddie. And I cannot wait to hear the stories that come from this. It's going to be highly entertaining. Oh, I miss my painting magazines. Paintworks was just such a great magazine. I knew the editor, Linda Heller. She was just a marvelous lady. Is a marvelous lady. So, look at that. So this is where this method of keeping my line drawing taped to my piece comes in so handy. So I have a little shape maker and some painter's tape, and I'm going to grab my white graphite. No, I'm not. I'm going to use some gray graphite. This white is a little too waxy. It gives me endless grief. So I'm going to drop that in place. I'm going to make sure that my line drawing is in the right position. And all we really have to trace in are the eyes and the buttons. So this is my trick. I like to use a template to trace these circles, because then they're circles and not just quasi circles or sort of circles or egg shaped. When I'm painting them, they come out like circles, which drives me bananas. You know, perhaps I'm a little OCD when it comes to things being round, you know, and letters being straight. Perhaps I'm a little bit wonky about that, but I'm the same when it comes to things like berries. When you have berries on here, if you trace them with a template where it's a perfect little circle, like so, then 9 times out of 10, it makes it easier to paint them like a circle. Instead, again, having them come out egg-shaped. It's much easier to paint a perfect circle when it is a perfect circle. So here we go. I've got buttons and eyeballs on my cookie. So Bob is going to be fully dressed and, you know. Now for the eyes, I'm going to use a little bit of lamp black. And I want them to have sort of a bead-like look. Hi. Yes. Colleen, the pattern is up on the website. And it just went up this week. So I'm going to use a rigger and some lamp black, and I'm going to paint the eyeballs. Nice round eyeballs. Like so. And as I said, it's so much easier to paint a straight line when you're painting against a straight line. And it's the same with things that are round. It's so much easier to paint them round when they started out round. If they start out egg-shaped, you have a tendency to make them egg-shaped. So I like to trace them like that. Use them so that you have that nice round eyeball. Do the same thing for the buttons. I don't know if you can hear it, but Taz is running the length of the living room. from the sounds of things, she's chasing something. Like the laser or... There we go. So I've got some nice round buttons. Except for this one at the bottom because it's hiding slightly underneath the lip of that bowl. There we go. Nice round buttons. And the other nice thing about using a template, as you can see, I've used it before, is that if you don't feel like painting them in, you can. Yeah, I know. She makes such a racket. For a little cat, I don't know what the heck she's chasing, but she's having a ball. Whatever. So you can use a template like this or a polka dot stencil to do your eyeballs or your berries. And then you can just simply stencil them in. If you want to put your base coats in that way, it works perfectly fine. So I'm going to dry brush. I'm going to dry this. Good grief. There we are. So I've got my little 3/8 angle. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum. Oops, there's Maze. Apparently now she's joined. And we're going to start putting a nice little shadow on our cookie. And across here so that it's tucked in under the bowl, like so. I'm just giving him a nice little shading in a few key places. Just like that. And I'm going to put a little float here on this side, on that side of the face. And I'm going to put a darker one in on this side, just in slightly from the edge of the cookie. Oops, that's a bit too dark. Here we go. Oh, that's dark too, but whatever. And then I'm going to stop that float about midway. And I'm just going to soften it a bit. I kind of like this little float to curve a little here. It just sort of implies that he's a little on the fluffy side, if you know what I mean. I'm going to soften that. Now, each of those buttons and the eyeballs have to get shaded too, and we're going to shade to the right side of each of those buttons like this. Little float just shy of the top center and down to the bottom center. So we've got a nice little float there. And we're going to do the same thing to the eyeballs. Just a little float, nothing over the top, but it's just there. Now he has icing on here, and so I'm going to put a float right there where his icing would be. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, out in just a little wavy line. And I'm going to do the same thing here on his leg. And I'm going to deepen this float across the bottom. Now I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to use that little stencil brush again. So I'm using that small one. So I'm just laughing at Kathy. She's discovered the joy of using a stencil or a template to make her dots, make berries and such. Makes things so much simpler. So I'm using a little bit of warm white. Again, I'm going to blot that. And I'm going to soften our little cookie here in the middle. Just with, in and around, I'm going to put like a little dry brush across the top, in between those eyeballs, down the belly. Just a little one like that. Super simple. All this dry brush is going to do is just soften things a little bit. Just makes our cookie look a little softer and lightly sugared, I guess is a good word for it. Now I'm going to take a small dry brush. I have a little tiny one here. And I'm going to take a little bit. I'm going to use wild berry. You could use country red, but I'm going to use a little bit of wild berry. I just need a teeny tiny bit. And I'm going to load up my little brush. I want this brush to be almost completely dry. And I'm going to dry brush in a little rosy cheek underneath each eye. Doesn't have to be perfect, and it's just a little blush of color. Like so. Just a little blush. And now we're going to highlight those eyeballs. And I'm using a 3/8 angle and a little tiny bit of warm white. And I'm going to put a float in from the edge, just like a half moon on each eyeball. In from the edge, top to bottom. Just like that. Super simple. Do the same thing to the buttons. Just leave a sliver of the black showing. Like that. Et voila. And then we're going to use a little bit of warm white. I'm using a rigger. You can use a liner if you want, or a small round, but we're going to put in a stroke of frosting following the edge of that icing, that little shadow that we put in there. I'm keeping it on the light side so that the shadow falls to the other. And then a little bit right here. And I'm sorry, but I like hair on my cookie. So I'm going to put just a couple of little comma strokes at the top, right between the eyeballs. And then on the eyes and the buttons, we're going to use a little dot of white, just slightly in from the edge of the float, and on the upper left of each eye and each button. Et voila. There's our cookie. Now, this little guy is, you can do one of two things. You can use country red, and 2 little back-to-back comma strokes to form a little heart on his chest. Or you can leave him as is. That's entirely up to you. Or you can use a small stencil to do this. But I like this simple little method, this 2 little comma strokes back to back to add a little heart to his chest. And then we're going to dry him. And then we're going to work on our holly leaves and our berries. And then the fun details on our piece, and we will be done. So, as I said, you can use a stencil to complete this background. I do a very simple gingerbread cookie. I don't like a ton of detail, but I think he's cute just the way he is. Super simple. So I'll make sure he's good and dry before I continue. There we go. And this is my favorite thing. Whenever you're painting berries, I like hair on my cookie. Yes, Robin. Oh my goodness. So I like to base coat my berries with warm white first. For a couple of reasons. One, because the berries are going to be a shade of red or a deep pink or something along that line, I find that if you don't put something down to interfere with that darker color in the background, you end up with the reds don't look as bright as they should. So I like to make sure that I'm going to have nice vibrant reds, just like we did for the candy cane. So I'm using warm white underneath the berries. Now you can do this, you can base coat everything with warm white first if you want to. I think when you're using colors like red, because they're so transparent, having that little bit of white underneath keeps them nice and bright, but also keeps the reds really vibrant. So, as I said, you could use country red for this. You could use wild berry for those. You could use whatever you want to do. Knock yourself out. You can use whatever you want. That's the nice thing about this. I like to carry colors around and then change them depending on how I shade them with. So in this particular case, I'm shading with a little bit of Prussian blue. So I'm going to stick with that country red. Now, look at the difference. Remember when we put down the red for the rim on the bowl? It is country red. However, there is no white underneath it. So look at the difference. There's that country red with no white, and then country red with the white. Hard to believe that this red back here is the same color, because this is dealing with that dark blue. So what you're seeing here is that dark blue showing through that red, that taking on that darker, almost burgundy tone, whereas I put white underneath it, and look at the difference. So we've got, that white helps keep that country red really bright. And that's what we want. So there we are. And then using that little circle maker or a template to make your berries, look at how nice and round they are. So we're not fighting against the color, the influence of the color, and we're not fighting against the shape. So here we go. Nice bright red round berries. So I'm going to dry that. And now we're going to base coat the leaves. Now I went with a lighter green for the leaves this time around. I've been very enamored with this avocado toast that came out last year. I wasn't sure about it at first, but now I'm really, really loving it. It actually covers reasonably well. And so I love using it for this. And it gives a great pop of a yellowish green to this piece, which plays up very nicely with all of those reds and those earthy tones. Really stands out quite nice. I love avocado toast. There we are. Now, I very rarely use more than one coat when I'm base coating things. It all depends on the color. But most of the time, one coat will do, even with colors that are somewhat transparent. And greens in particular tend to be the ones that I don't like to base coat too many times. So in this case, I'm using one coat of avocado toast. Even though it's over top of that dark blue, it's still going to give us really nice coverage because we have 3 other colors going over top of it. So we have black forest green, we have margarita, and we have asphaltum going on top of this. So look at that. Look how nicely that pops off that dark blue, even though it is fairly transparent and we only have one base coat on there. It works. It works really well. So I'm using a rigger, a number 2, to base coat my leaves. And again, nice crisp outline and then fill in the center following the shape of the leaf. Just like that. And I've managed not to put my fingers in it for a change. I almost always put my fingers. Dizziness therapy. What a great name. Ooh. I picked up some black. Don't want that. This is a fun little project, and it always surprises people at how quickly it works up. I think I painted it 4 times before I got the pattern written, until I got the color palette where I wanted it. But in the end, that 4 times that I've painted it, I learned more from the mistakes that I made and the color choices that I made than how much time it took. But that's okay. If you didn't make mistakes, you wouldn't learn much. So now we've got a little leaf out here. And we'll paint that one in, and here we go. So I'm going to dry that. And if you're looking for that avocado toast, it's such a pretty color. It's a lovely green. It dries a little bit darker than what it looks in the bottle. And the paint number for it is DA430. I like the texture in backgrounds too, Amy. I very rarely have just a plain background. Hi, Jerry and Charmaine Bannister. There you are. Yes, it is. Iris, avocado green works very well to replace foliage green. They're in the same tonal range, so they work really well. Oh, Patrick, you've no idea. I have boxes full of duplicates. Boxes full. A lot of the time I will just flip the piece over and paint the other side. And my husband noticed that the other day. That he picked up a piece and it had the same design on both sides and he couldn't figure out why. It's because I painted it 3 or 4 times before I finished with it. I like that. Rose Rob, I love doing cute little Christmas pieces. I can't wait for next Saturday because we're going to have so much fun painting seashells. So I've got this base coated. The berries look good. The leaves look good. I'm going to be using a color called Black Forest Green. This color, it's just one that I've had forever. Hadn't used it all that much. Carrie put a mouth on them. I never put a mouth on them. I never put a mouth on them. I don't know. There's something creepy about a cookie with a mouth on it. I don't know why. A foliage green is a hard color to find. Take care, Robin. I'm loving the seashells. I think they're going to be so much fun. So we're going to shade these leaves. And we're going to start with just shading the base of the leaf where it joins the stem. I love this color. It is very transparent and very rich. And this is how we're going to shade them. Float down. It's sort of a U-shaped float down into the bottom where it joins the stem. Nice little U-shaped float. Down and then come up. I like the U-shape. Here we go. That little float, as simple as it seems, that's what dictates the direction of the leaves. So that, yeah. I do have a zombie Bob. I call him my zombie cookie. And Renee's got a zombie cookie. He's got a zombie bunny too. A zombie bunny t-shirt. I have a zombie bunny pin. There we go. So that dark green, where we're putting it, establishes and sort of makes that curve in the leaf. I'm feeling incredibly creative. I have about 6 pieces sitting on my desk with a variety of designs waiting to go. Like I've got nothing else to do. Here we are. Oops, I forgot this little one up here. And I'm going to come down here and do the small ones at the base here. Having that little float just at the base, like so, creates the illusion that the leaf curves like this. Exactly, Kathy. That's why I use that template, because then they don't come out looking like a football or a teardrop. They look like eyeballs. So now that we've got that first shading in, we're going to dry it really well. And we're going to do a second shading down the center vein. And we're going to follow the curve. And then I'm going to show you a little trick. When you're doing a leaf like this, if you put the float straight down the middle, it makes the leaf look flat. So if you curve from the point where it joins the stem, curve up and then back down to the point, it helps accentuate that curve. And it gives you the look that that leaf is bending. So instead of going straight down the middle, make sure that your float has a little curve in it. And if the point goes to the left, then your float goes to the right, like so. So we get these nice curved leaves. And try to avoid having it go straight from point to point. Just like that. Hi, Connie. Nice to have you with us from Canton, Michigan. Thank you. So that little float going down there. Oopsie daisy. So now we have a really nice curve in each of those leaves. They still look a little rough. Our highlight color is going to be a little bit of margarita, which is this high yellow green. It is a very yellow green, and it works really well on top of this avocado toast. It's a beautiful color. The paint number is DA299. So we're going to use a small amount of margarita. And again, it's a fairly strong color, so we're going to use it a little diluted. And we're going to put that color down the opposite side of our shading, down the center vein. So we've got that nice bright one. And then I like to bring a little of it to the points, like so. Nice light float. Same on the little one. See that nice point? Bring it out there, down the center vein. It makes for nice bright leaves. Always better to use a small amount of color to keep it under control, and then you can put another layer on. If you're using it transparent, nice thinned out floats, your highlights will look softer and you'll have better control over the color. I'm going to brighten this one because it wasn't quite bright enough for me. There we go. Much better. So look at how bright, how sharp those leaves look. Highlight. Whoops. I think I got a little overzealous. There we are. Nice little highlight down the center vein, right to the point, out to the edge, a little bit on the other side. Always on the other side. Otherwise, your leaves look like they're light on one side and dark on the other, and they just don't have any nice balance. Et voila.
I heard the phone.
It wasn't the phone, it was my tablet. What do you need? Et voila. Da, 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 da. There we go. Now I've only got one little set left to do. Oh, for Facebook.
Yeah.
Huh.
Just want to see the stream quality on Facebook.
Our little web geek is trying to adjust things a little.
No, given the highest quality video we can.
That's right. There we are. So there's our highlights. They look pretty good. I think I'm happy with those. So I'm going to dry that real quick.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, wow, I'll say. There we go. Now, at this point, you've got a couple of options when it comes to shading and deepening the shading on these leaves. You can go back in and add a little float of the green, the darker value if you want. Or you can come in with a little bit of asphaltum. I like the asphaltum because I find it gives things nice tone, but at the same time it's not overwhelming, but it also makes everything a little sharper. So it gives you a little contrast without burying a whole lot of things. So I love the contrast it gives. It'll deepen those darker greens without being too overwhelming. Oops, might be a little more than I wanted, but there we go. And when you deepen that shadow at the base of the leaf, you see the contrast that you get? It just makes that leaf bend even more. Gives you that look that it's got a nice little bend in the middle. And that little float down the center vein just gives you a nicer contrast and amps up your highlights a little bit. So there we go. I love that. So now we're going to shade our berries, and because we used the same country red that we used in the bowl, we're going to use a little bit of Prussian blue to shade them. I'm going to thin this out quite a bit. And then I'm going to put a little float to separate these berries. You just have to decide which one you want forward or back, that's all. And then a little float to shade with. Nice little shadow on one side. And then we're going to highlight the berries. I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm going to do the same thing I did to the eyeballs and the buttons on the cookie. I'm going to thin out a little warm white. And I'm going to come in from the edge just slightly on the berry. And put a little float, just like that, on each one. Just in from the edge slightly. And then I'm going to use my rigger or a stylus or whatever you prefer to use for those little dip dots. On the upper left and just on the edge of that little float, I'm going to put the highlight like so. I want it to brighten my highlight. So I'm going to dry that. And then I'm going to find my favorite liner brush. And I'm going to thin out a little bit of that margarita. Just a little. And I'm going to add a little bit of warm white to it. Ooh. Okay, a little bit of warm white. And then I'm going to thin it out with a little Joe Sonia's on my favorite liner brush. And I'm going to stroke in the stems for the holly. And I like to start right on the leaf and then bend the stems. Just like this. I want a fine line. I don't really want a harsh line on this. I like the finer line. It just seems to suit it much better. You can use a whatever you like, honestly. A liner, script liner, whatever works for you. I like this one. This one is a 5/0 extra long detail liner. I love these. So here we are. And I'm going to stroke in my tendrils. I like my vines and tendrils. Nice little vine. And then to finish off these leaves, this is my favorite thing. I like to use that fine liner and that same color and then just put a loose outline, whether it's directly on the edge of the leaf or if it's off slightly is okay. It's just an outline. And then on some of the leaves, I like to put a little curlicue. Just makes the leaves look a little more delicate. I like that little curl at the end of the leaf. It just makes things look a little more airy, I think, is the word I was looking for. And as I said, it does not have to be perfectly on the edge of the leaf. It can go off the leaf. It can go on the leaf. However you like it. And if you're not a fan of using the liner brush to do this, you can do this with a gel pen or an ultra fine Sharpie or something. Choose a different color if you want. It doesn't have to be exactly a green. I've used black and it works fine. I just like the looseness of this. There we are. So look at that. So we have our leaves done, we have our berries done. I'm going to dry this. Now, for this one, for the breadboard, I used, because the breadboard actually comes with these snowflakes, I used these dimensional snowflakes and then just glued them in place. But I think I want snowflakes. I want to stencil snowflakes. So I'm going to use this one. Unfortunately, I don't have any more of these in stock, sadly, but I'm going to use it anyway. I'm going to just lightly stencil a few little snowflakes in the background, just for giggles. But as I said, you can just paint some of the wooden snowflakes white and have done. Glue them on if you like. I'd like the idea of having an alternative available. I just find lately things have been difficult for people to get. So it's nice to be able to use what you already have. So if you have a fun little snowflake stencil, by all means, use that. And I'm not looking for fully opaque. I'm kind of looking for distressed because I like that. Just a little snowflakes here and there. More to just fill up a little negative space, I think. So I'm not looking for hugely elaborate. There we go. Now, the fun part about using a stencil, especially for stuff like this, I like that sort of light appearance where they're a little bit worn. I'm going to use my favorite fugly brush, and I'm going to thin out a little bit of warm white, just with some water or with some glaze, either one. And I'm going to spatter it generously, but not a heavy spatter, if you know what I mean. I want lots of spatter, but I want it fine. So there we are. I like that little bit. Kind of gives you that snowy look. And then, of course, you can always use a little bit of Galaxy varnish with a little bit of glitter in it to add a little more pretty, a little more sparkly. Everybody loves sparkly. So I'm going to take my line drawing off, and I'm going to dry this so that I don't smear little speckles of paint everywhere. I do love anything festive. So make sure that's good and dry, and then I'm going to grab my gold paint pen. And we're going to put a nice little border around the outside edge. And then you could hang this with a little piece of holiday ribbon. I think a nice red would be pretty, or even a green. A green would be nice too. So I have to grab if I have a paint pen that works. That's my knowledge of it. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Good grief. Oh. Well, that's not it either, but I don't know where my other paint... Oh, there it is. Good gravy. So I'm going to give this a good shake. And I'm going to prime. And I'm going to use my gold paint pen to put a nice thin little gold border around the outside edge. Because I like a little bit of gold. I think a little bit of gold on things like this just gives it a more festive feeling. And the nice thing, you can use these gold paint pens to paint the edges of your finished piece. A little bit of gold on there. I'm going to dry things really well. And then I do believe that I am done with this one. And then I'm going to grab a pen and sign this. I think my white pen vacated, but that's okay. I'm going to use my liner brush instead. So I'm going to use a little bit of warm white, a little thin warm white, and I'm going to put my signature right here. Nice little TM in the corner. There we go. And voila! Baking cookies. Such a fun and easy thing to paint. Take it step by step. It's really not a hard one to do at all.
Thought I could get it done before.
Well, I'm going to show them the other ones. So there's your piece. Both of these designs have been adjusted to fit a variety of surfaces. This one is for the 8x10 breadboard, and this one will fit a 6x10 or even larger. So it's just been adjusted a little bit so that it fits onto the surface. And as I said, you can use the wooden snowflakes or you can use the stencil to embellish your background. Either one will do wonderfully. And then for next Saturday, I have a really pretty new pattern release that just came out not too long ago. It's this one. It's called the Sandpiper Bed and Breakfast. And it involves some seashells and some flowers. And then I played with the idea of doing some Christmas ornaments or just beach ornaments or something fun to hang in your bathroom or your kitchen or wherever you have your beachy theme hidden on these little postage stamps. These are 4x4 postage stamps, and we have them in sets of 3. And the pattern for this is also available on the website. This is our class for next Saturday. And I hope you'll join me because these are a hoot to do. So Renee is loading up what looks like a ridiculously full wheel.
Yeah, 597, but that's not.
Okay. Double up, did we?
Not quite right.
Not quite. Okay, I'll switch this to face cam. So Renee is busy loading up the wheel and fixing things.
Decided to take all the messages everybody sent.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. That looks better.
I haven't even scrolled yet.
Oh no.
Just keep coming.
Poor Renee. So while he's loading up the wheel and fixing it, that's a lot of patchwork.
Thanks to Patrick.
Oh, thanks to Patrick. Okay, so Patrick gets the blame or the credit, depending on how it goes, huh? Oh my goodness. I looked over and all I saw was this wheel just jammed and I'm like, oh my goodness. Still plugging away at it. So just to reiterate, we have some fun stuff tucked away for you. We have some really cute ornaments that go with this piece. We have a really cute little ornament set of breadboards. They're really cute. And they're a variety. So there's 3 of them in each of those sets. So we have a set of those. We have some Dynasty brushes to send you. And of course, we always have some other goodies from both Renee and myself. So those will go into our giveaway for this week. If he ever gets to the bottom of that list, holy smokes. Oh my Lord. He's going to be at it a while, I'm afraid.
Yup.
Yep.
Yeah, this is messed up.
Okay.
Give me a second to.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily.
We're going to have some fun next Saturday with those ornaments. They are so cute. I had so much fun doing those, along with the bed and breakfast. But, yep.
There we go.
There we go.
That's a lot more manageable. Thank you, computer, for playing the game. Let me get rid of some doubles here.
That's a little better, although that doesn't. Oh my goodness.
Still got a lot of Patrick in there.
Oh, Patrick's the one that duplicated. Oh my stars. So I'm going to look over at the Facebook group.
There.
You can tell I've got a cold. My nose is red.
Shuffle, 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 shuffle. I need to go into the software, go to the wheel,
Oh my goodness.
and they can't see it.
Oh my goodness. Something had to go wrong today.
Yeah.
Something had to.
There we go.
Oh goodness. There it is.
There.
How many viewers do we have today?
165.
Okay. So are you ready to spin that thing?
I can spin it.
Spin it.
Once again, it's something to write with. There it is. All right.
Okay. There we go. I think we're ready.
I'm a spin. Who we got? Who the first name? Susan Nadeau.
Susan Nadeau.
Here's one.
As always, guys, head over to the website, click on the Contact Us button, and send us your shipping information so we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible.
Next.
Linda Deming. Linda.
Linda Deming.
And the last one. Sue Black.
Sue Black.
Awesome. Okay, guys, I hope you have enjoyed yourselves today. I know I certainly did. I had a great deal of fun painting. I haven't done much of it lately, so I'm really glad to be back in the studio. So join us next Saturday. We're going to be painting She Sells Seashells, which is this. I know, don't give me that look. My mouth isn't working.
It's the mouth.
I'm not sure. You know, somewhere along the line. Maybe I need a new cable. So come and join us again next Saturday. We're going to be painting She Sells Seashells.
Why'd you make it a tongue twister?
I don't know. I thought it was a good idea at the time. Maybe not so much.
It's fun.
It's cute. It's fun. It's impossible to pronounce. So come and join us. Paint some fun beachy ornaments either for your Christmas tree or just to decorate for the summer. And we would love to have you. So we'll see you again soon. Mwah. Love you. Stay safe.
Pet your dog.
Pet your dog.
Oh yeah, you have the controls.
Oh, I do. Where'd it go? Oh, I hid it behind the water. Oops. Oh, right. I have to mute it too.
Yep.
Bye.